Okay, good morning everyone. Today is the third class of our CAD design in the first semester, and we are going to using some advanced tools for modeling. And the first one will be Sweep 2. Basically, in the last time, we have teach you guys about how to use in Sweep 1 to create surface, and that's the most fundamental command inside Rhinosys. And this time we are going to use in Sweep 2. Basically, the principle is the same. First things we have to create two rail lines, and then give these two rail lines a couple different cross sections. And finally, Rhino will help us to connect all these section lines based on the rail and create this surface. So let's take a look of how it works. First, hold on your Shift key on your keyboard to select all these operation frame. Hold on your Alt key to copy them to the left side. Now, let's using control point curve, choosing the middle point or another point as a reference so that we can easily to create this first rail line. And again, let's click the control point curve to create a second one. Press Enter to finish the operation, and you can take a look of the hint based by Rhinos. Now let's do the second part to create a couple different cross sections. Select both of the cross lines, the rail lines, and you can use in copy. Just type in copy in the command bar. Copy these two lines to the second operation frame. Press ESC to enter to finish these operations. And now, as far as you can see, there is a little bit weird because this one doesn't touch the endpoint. Although this doesn't cause any problem for now, but I prefer to move this one to the endpoint so that it will be has the same length just like this one. So we can use move to move this point to the end to the corner. Now let's use control point curve to create different section. Again, press Enter when you are finished. And you can press Enter again so that you can repeat the last command. Once you finish, we can rotate based on this object, but you might find out that probably your camera cannot focus on the object. We can solve this one through select this object and then click Zoom Selected. So now your camera can focus on this object. For now, take a look in different aspects. You might figure out that all these section lines, they are 2D lines. So we have to make this one become a 3D curve. Select the control point, move down, move up. For this one as well, move down, move up, move left or right. So now we have finished the base curve for making the surface. Let's copy all these things to the third operation frame. And if you select the wrong things, for example, I also select the operational frame. I want to deselect this one. We can hold on Control key so that we can deselect the operational frame. Type in copy in the command bar. Now we have finished. So you can find Sweep 2 under the surface, Sweep 2 rails, or just type in command bar, Sweep 2. Select first rail, select second rail, select the cross sections, press enter. Now you will get the surface you want. So that's about how we can use in Sweep 2. But you might wonder, all these things, all these commands just create weird and twisty freeform. How can we use this one to model something regular object like a car, plane, character or architectures. Let's take a reference, take an example. Here is an old F1 racing car model. And as far as you can see, it has a lot of different type of freeform. How can we make this one? Let's make a section plan, so probably you will see that, how we can do that. First things, basically, usually when we are working on this kind of symmetry object, we will just make only half of this object. So for this car, probably this half. And also, because the upper part is different from the bottom part, so we have to separate them. How can we do that? First things, I prefer we will using sweep tool to create the upper surface. How can we do that? First thing, to get the real line of this part. Second, the second real line of this area. Finally, get a section line. Now we can get the geometry here. And for the back part as well, it's the same things. And for the bottom part, basically, it's the same idea and same logic to make the bottom part. So, the very important thing is inside right now, or let's say inside industrial CAD modeling, is that we need to know how to decompose the geometries. No matter it's about architecture, building, or vehicle, product, even for character design, you always have to know the feature of the geometry and how to decompose the geometry. And then you can use in different type of command to make that one. So that's how we can use in sweep tool. For this one, we can use in sweep tool to model to get the section line and the rail line so that we can get the geometry through sweep tool. Okay, let's go back to our practice. So here is the first one we can use in sweep tool. And through these two rail lines, we can control the border of the geometry, so the shape and geometry will be even more precise. Let's delete all of them and go to the second one. The second thing is about contours. And I will just copy this surface using this one as a reference. What's the function of contours? Basically, through contours, we can create a series of sections of this surface. So let's take a look. How can we use that? Type in contours in command bar. Choose the object we want to cut. Press enter. And then you can choose the start point and then the end point. And you can choose the section, the distance between each sections. And now it's 5, and I prefer maybe 3. Press enter. Now you can see if I choose this surface and Control H to hide this surface, you will find out that's the function of contours. Not only for surface, but also for solid object. Let's create maybe a sphere. Let's go to here, click this little icon, and go down to choose sphere center radius. Let's create a sphere, and press F10 to do some modification, make this one become more like a free form. Okay, once you finish, press F11 so you can turn off the control point. Move this one here, and now we can use in contour. First things, type in contours in the command bar. Second, select the object, press enter. Finally, choose the direction, so probably here to here. And finally, choosing the distance, and I think 3 is fine. So now we can get the contours. Let's hide the surface, and you can see we can use this way to create this kind of patterns. And what can we do with this one? Usually, We can use this one to create a kind of contour sections and transform the freeform into piece of flattened material. For example, if I only have wooden plate and I want to construct the shape of this freeform, we can just use contour to cut this shape so that transform this 3D object into 2D pieces, and then use laser cutter or manually to cut all this shape to get these geometries. So that's how we can use in contours. Okay. And also the other way is that we can also make this one become some kind of structure. Let's use in pipe, P-I-P-E. And you can type in the radius. I think for now 1 is too much, so I will choose 0.3. And basically it's only depend on experience, because for now we didn't set union for this model, so it's only depend the number of the radius is only depend on my personal experience. Let's take a look. Okay, fairly enough, you can see the structure of these geometries. Alright, let's delete all of them. Let's move to the next one. First thing is sweep to, second contours. Now let's take a look about loft. Loft is probably one of the most important command inside Rhinosys. Let's select all the 4 operational frames and let's try to do this one. First thing is, let's create 3 different circles, and we can use these 3 circles as an example. Let's choose in this one, center radius, select the center and type in the radius. And for the first one, I think it could be 6 in radius, or 5, 6 will be fine. And for the second, just press enter to repeat the command. I will type in 9. Finally, I will type in probably 12. Now I have created these 3 circles. I will copy all of them to the next frame, and we can move them to top, or copy them to the top. So hold on your Auto key, type in the number you want, maybe 20. Now we have copied 3 circles. Okay, for now we can try to using loft. Just type in loft here in the command bar, or go to surface, choose loft. Let's choose in the first circle, 2 circles. Choose these 2 curves and press enter. And you will can out this section line. The logic of loft basically is just like the sweep 2, but however, for sweep 2 or sweep 1, you can control the shape of the section. But for loft, it's always in straight line, so you cannot control the shape of this one anymore. So let's press enter, and you will find out you create based on these 2 border lines and based on these start lines, it creates this cylinder shape. And let's use in this second one. Type in loft, choosing these 2 circles, press enter, and you can try to play around this one. So what if we move this start point to another section or to another point? For example, like this one. Here is the first one, and here is the second one. Let's type enter. And you might figure out it becomes smaller, and the middle part shrink. Why is that? It's because this section line it doesn't follow the circle, it becomes decline, and when it decline, it follows decline shape and to rotate and create these geometries. So that's the major difference. So the start line is very important. We have to adjust the positions to get the things we want. Finally, let's take a look about directions. Type in loft again. Select these 2 circles. And we can also change the directions. So if you want to change the direction, we can, using your mouse icon to move to the opposite direction and click so that you can change. What will happen? Let's press enter. and you might figure out it becomes this kind of inverted surface, because this part go in this way and this part go this way, so it creates this kind of inverted surface. Okay, so finally, let's make all these things become a solid object. For now, all these geometry, they are open surface. As far as you can see them go through. How can we make this one become a solid object? Let's select all these surface and type in CAP, and it will become a solid geometry. But unfortunately for this one, because there is some error, if you remember, the upper part is reverted and the bottom part is positive. It's the front faces. So it becomes very weird. Bottom part become transparent. It means there is something wrong with this geometry. And for the others, it looks okay. But for CAD, the command CAD is only work for the planned holes on the geometry. So if this part is a three-dimensional holes, basically it doesn't work. We have to using another way to fill the holes. Okay, so let's move to the last command of today. I will delete this one. Let's go to here about extrusions, and also this time I want to ask you guys to make a more precise control. I will select all of these operational frames and move them down. Hold on your Auto key, copy all of them. First things, I want to create a 30 by 60 rectangles. Let's go to here, rectangle. Basically, if you can, I think for now you have understand. Inside rhinoceros, there's point, curve, and finally surface. So usually we will start with the curve and then make them become surface. Finally, using surface to construct a solid object. So that's the process. So let's start with this one. Let's using the rectangle corner to corner. Choose the first corner and type in the number. First one 30 in Y's. Second number 60 in height. And once you finish, please press enter. Now we have a rectangle. Width is 30. Height is 60. Let's copy this one. And for now, I think the position doesn't matter. So I will just using Auto key and gumbo to copy this one. And second thing is, I want this one has some round corner. How can we do that? So we can use in fillet curve. Remember, there are a lot of similar command, but something is for curve and something is for surface or solid object. So fillet, we have both fillet for curves and also we also have fillet for surface. And now we are going to using fillet curves. Choosing this one, choosing the corner. Again, repeat, choosing the curve, choosing the second curve. Okay, now we have finished. So if we want to make this open curve become a surface, that's using planar surface. Planar surface is work for that kind of planar curve. You can fill the planar curve and make them become a surface. Okay, let's move this one. Now let's using extrusion. I think in the first class I already told you guys we can using gumbo for extrusion. For example, let's hold the blue dot and type in a number, maybe 40. And you can create an extrusion. Also, we can just type in command bar, extrude surface. Press enter. And you can type in a number you want. So probably 30. And there is a benefit for using extrude surface compared to using combo. We can create lines as a reference. So for example, I just draw a line and press enter. For now it's a 2D line, so I have to move a little bit, move up, and move to the direction I want. Now let's using extrusion. Extrude surface. Choose the surface, press enter, and then I can choose directions. So Now I can using this surface, this line as a direction to extrude these geometries. So that's how we can use in extrude. And also I want to show you the different process, but we can get a similar result. Let's copy these rectangle curves and using planar surface again. And I would like to extrusion this one, so let's click the blue dot and type in 30. Now let's use in fillet surface. The first time we use in fillet curve to create the corner. Now I want to use a fillet surface to create the round shape on these geometries. Click this one, go to here, select the first face, second face. Now we can get the geometries. Let's do that again. Let's do this for the full corner. Okay, but you might find out that while there is still a very sharp corner left on the geometry, it's because inside Rhinoceros, if we using explode to explode this geometry, you might find out that all the solid objects basically they are constructed by multiple surface. So for this one, every different shape means a different surface. Okay, so if you want to edit, make clean this part, this unnecessary part, we have to using another way to cut off this one. So I using undo to go back to the very beginning, and now we can using tool to cutting them. There are two different cutting tools. First one is split, and we will use this one later. This time we will use trim. Choosing this one, choosing the knife we want to use. So basically, you can imagine this surface is the knife. Press enter. Now you can select the things you want to delete. Okay, let's do that again. Press enter to repeat 3. Select all these surfaces. Press enter, and then you can delete the unnecessary part. Okay, now we have finished the operation. But for now, all these round corner, they are still separate geometry. If I move, they will be left in the same positions. So select all of them. Let's press Ctrl J to join them together. So now they become one intact object. So next, the 4 useful commands inside Rhinoceros: sweep to, contours, loft, extrusion, fillet curve, and fillet surface, and finally trims. Now we can try to using the command we know to make abstract compositions as a practice. Let's take a look about what we are going to do. Let's try to using contours, sweep to, and all the other command we know to create this kind of abstract compositions. How can we do that? Let's go back to our case model, and for now I'd like to open up a new one so that we can ignore all this case. And we don't have to save this one, but for you, if you have made some change you want to keep, make sure you have saved the file. And it will ask you whether you want to use a template, and for me I don't want to use template. Let's go to the perspective. I will delete the reference first. So first things, I'd like to using sweep to create a very wild freeform. That's using control point curve and choosing the shape you want. I will copy this one so that I don't have to draw from the beginning. And then mirror this one. Just click the red cube and type in -1. And maybe let's do that negative again using the green rectangle. Type in -1. Okay. So now let's go to control the point, change the geometries. Okay, for now it seems fine. So let's create a section line. For the section line, I hope you guys can make sure the endpoint and beginning start point connected with the rail path. So first things, we don't have to make this one too wild, and then we can edit them. For now, all of them are flattened, so let's go to using the 80 point, the control point, to make them become a 3D curve. Move down and move up. Alright, so for now it looks fine. Let's using sweep 2. Type in sweep 2 or go to surface sweep 2 rails. Select the first rail line, select the second rail line, and then select the cross sections. Press enter. Now we get these geometries. And you can try to switch to another different type. For example, like rebuild, it will be looks more flattened, and or refeed cross sections, and you will make the surface more close to the cross sections. And I think maybe the first one is better. And let's create OK, select OK. Alright, so now we have this surface. I don't need those lines anymore. I will just delete them. Select all of them and using Ctrl to deselect the surface. And I will delete all the geometries, the rail curves and the cross sections. Now let's switch to 3D mode. Go to the title here, change 3D mode. And I'd like to hide all these wireframes. So select this one, go to the property and uncheck the show iso curve. Now let's using contour. Let's choose the directions and then let's choose in the distance. 3 is fine. Okay, now we have finished. But for this one, I think probably it's not enough. I want more. So we can edit the shape of this freeform. Let's press F10 and let's start to move. Maybe for this one, let's move this one even more up. And for this part, let's move this one down. Or maybe it's up to you. We can even rotate, move them. For now, probably it's a little bit too wild. So let's press F11 and type in rebuild. And we can still decrease the number, the control point. I think we will refine the situation because in certain part it's already broken. So maybe 12 will be fine. Let's press OK. Alright, so let's just use this one, okay? And then I will enlarge the entire one. So this one is larger than this one. And before that, in order to, for now, if I want to select all this line, I have to select each of them. So I want to make all this line become a group. Select all of them, press Ctrl and G, and it will become a group. Unlike join, basically for group, all these things inside the group, they are still independent objects. You can using the group ungroup under the edit sections to make them become independent object again. But for join, they will become in one object. So if you want to make one join object become separate component, you have to use an explode. But for group, you just using ungroup, and basically the hotkey will be Shift Ctrl G, and then they will become independent object again. Okay, let's select all of them. and select the curve. That's using contours. You can choose any direction you want, and I will choose it in this way. Now I can delete this surface and select all the curve. Now let's start to do our compositions. For now I think it looks fine, but probably we can make this one more crazy. You can choose a perspective you like, or we can even change the lens for our camera. For now it's 50, that's the default setting. We can make this one probably shorter, so alright, probably something like this. So that's the position I want to make our rendering. So how can I save this one? Let's go to perspective, set view, name view, and you can save the camera position for you. And I will call this one perspective 01, and let's put this one on the left side. Now let's make this one become a true solid object. Type in pipe. And I think 0.3 probably is too small, so let's use in 0.6. Press enter. It will take time because there are a lot of lines inside these models. Okay, now I don't need the lines anymore. Let's delete the lines, leave the tubes. It looks okay. I think also this perspective looks cool. So let's save this one as well. Okay. Select all plane. Ctrl A to select all the objects inside your model. Press Ctrl G and make them become a group. Let's go to layers and create a new layer. Inside Rhinosis, all the objects basically are controlled by layer. We can use layer to control the visibility and also material. So let's choose this one. Right mouse button to call out this panel, and choosing change object layer, put the things inside. And we can switch another color for these layers. Also for the material, we can click this one, and let's try to using maybe metal. And I'd like to make this one like gold color, has a gold color. Okay. Or if you want, you can use in customize material, and I will call this one gold. And for the reflectivity, make this one become 100. For gloss finish, 100. Transparency 0, so that it will look like metals. Let's click OK. And for now, we cannot see the real textures, so let's switch to render or ray trace. Ray trace will be better because for ray trace, we can see the real shadow and the real color. For now, it's a little bit slow because now it's real-time rendering. So maybe let's switch back to the shady mode or render mode. It will be faster. Okay. So for now, I want to create a couple different decoration. Let's create a couple sphere. Go to here, choosing a center sphere. I want to make a like bubble things inside this composition. Let's go to top view and draw multiple different size or sphere. Actually, we can use script to make these things, but for now, probably since we are beginner, let's just using manually way to do that. Here is the top view. Let's go to the front view and change the height for all these bubbles. Okay, let's go back to the perspective view. Maybe this view also looks nice. Let's change the color and texture for all these bubbles. I hope these things could look like, let's say, maybe a glass bubble or something. So let's select all of them, Ctrl A, and hold on your Ctrl key to deselect the frame. Create a new layer. Right mouse button to select this one. Change object layer to this. Change the sphere to this the layer 2. Let's give this one another different type of material. This time I prefer to using glass. But also we can use, let's choose the glass first and then adopt the glass property to custom material. And I will call this one glass. For the reflectivity, we can decrease a little bit. For the gloss finish, I think it could be 100. And also for transparency, I think it's 85%. Now it looks okay. And in order to make these things look like glass, we have to give this one a little bit thickness. So let's type in offset surface, and it will give all these kind of ununiform geometries the thickness we want. For now, the default setting is 0.5. I think 0.1 would be better. So let's type in and enter. Okay, now we get this. However, because it's a new surface, so it doesn't adopt the material we want. Let's hide this one, hide the geometries, select all of them, change object layer. So now we get the material we want. Let's go back to ray trace mode. And go to the position, the perspective we want. For now, the color, all these color become a little bit weird because I think the reflectivity is too strong. Let's decrease this one and change the color here. And I think probably gold would be better. Press OK. Under ray trace mode, it will be way more slower compared to shading or rendering. So I think that's better to set up the perspective view, and then we can switch back using ray trace mode to get the result we want. Maybe larger. Okay. So let's take a look. Or even for the sphere, I think we can copy more. Hold on your Ctrl key to create more. Okay, for now I think it's fine. Let's save our perspective view here and replace this one. Let's go to ray trace mode. For now it looks a little bit dark, so we can go to render tools to give this one some light, and you can just create point line or rectangular line or maybe a directional line. For directional line it looks more like sun, so let's create a directional line. And things become much more brighter. Let's go to another zone so that we can see the direction of our light, because for the lighting we can only see in wireframe or shading mode. Okay, let's give this one some angles with our object. It looks nice. So for now, I think let's switch to shading mode. I'd like to create a surface as a ground. So let's go back to standard and go to here. select this one, corner to corner, create a large ground. And for this ground, I hope this one could be larger. And I want to make this one has some kind of mirror texture so that it will mirror the object. And also, we can use type in rebuild to increase the control point of this surface. Press F10, move down, move up. Press F11 to end the operations. Okay, so for now it looks fine. Take a look, and then create a new layers. Put the surface into these layers. Give this one a reflective material. Let's go to metal, and for the part, and then adapt the metal material to the custom. Reflectivity to 100 and transparency to 0. I think it's fine. And for the color, it's better to be light gray color. Press OK. And let's switch back to the ray trace mode. It might take some time to finish the render. And also for now we can see there is a white zone. Why is that? That's the reflection of the sun. So probably we have to move this one down. Okay, doesn't look very well. So probably we don't need this surface, or we don't need that strong reflectivity. Decrease the reflectivity to 18. Okay, much better. So here is about our abstract compositions. So once you think this rendering, this position is and this perspective looks nice, we can do a render for this one. Before that, make sure you have saved your file, and I will call this one compositions. To make a real render, we have to go to render section and select a animation render or still image render. But for now we haven't teach you guys about that. So let's just use in screenshot. We can use screenshot to screen this image. Let's type in view capture to file, the first one. Press enter. And you can choose the size. If you choose 2, it will be twice bigger than your screen. And for now, I'm just choosing 1. Press OK. And still, it will take some time for you to finish the screenshot because it's still under rendering. Okay, so now we have finished the first rendering. It's right here. Probably because because we don't have enough memory, so it doesn't work very well. But anyway, that's how we can make using screenshots to get the result we want. And also, we can switch to another different display mode to get another material and compose all of them inside Photoshop to get the best result. Let's take a look. So for now, we have made this one. So let's switch to artist mode. This is more like a white model. Let's do the view capture the file again. Press OK. Sorry, let's do that again. Press OK. Press save. And if you want, you can also extrude maybe pen mode, and you will get the outline of the geometries. Okay, so let's type in view capture the file. and press OK. Save the file. Now let's go to Photoshop. Let's use in Photoshop to open up a file which we have made. And choosing the image, move this one to the top to the same file. Repeat these operations. And now switch all the different layers, different image into layers. So now we can start using the layer property to strengthen the shadow or the light. So for example, this one is black and white model. We can use in soft light, green, screen, or multiply to strengthen. So now you can see the difference. If you want, you can also using the outline to strengthen the border. It's really up to you, so sometimes probably it's not necessary. Also, we can use an image adjustment invert, mixing become black and white in an inverted way. So there are multiple ways for us to strengthen, and also probably we can also change the opacity, maybe into 30 or 60 will be fine. And we can copy them, Ctrl E to merge the layers, and using screen create or alpha and a mask for this one, and change press X to set the full color and background color into default setting. And now we can use this one to create a gradient. Alright, so although this one probably is not a finished one, but it always looks okay. Let's combine all of them and create a new layer, and using multiply. And again, bottom part is darker and upper part is lighter. So now we have finished. Deleted the unnecessary layer and save the file. Save as JPEG, it will be fine. Turn off the Photoshop. Let's take a look of our file result. So this is our final result. For sure, if you want to get even more detailed render, we have to using the real render and even probably some plugins, something like V-Ray, Octane Render, or Redshift, things like that. But for default Rhinoceros, I think it's quite good and it already looks okay. We can do more post-production to finish this one. Okay, so this is all for the tutorial for today, and thank you for watching. See you next time.